we will continue our discussion on IC engine, and today we will initially discuss about the CI engine injection system, and probably we are left with only one part of this injection system, and then we will briefly discuss about the cooling, whether it is air cooled and liquid cooled engines. You know, we have discussed about for CI engine injection system, we have discussed about that common rail system. Then last class I have discussed about the individual pump and nozzle or individual pump and injector. So, common rail system and individual pump and injector, both these systems fall into the category of solid injection system, and then we have understood that in a common rail system we need to maintain a constant pressure in the common rail, but again we cannot supply required amount of fuel through that particular injector for varying loads or varying demand. That is what we have analytically established the problem what is there. If speed changes, then probably injection time we need to ensure that the theta will increase, otherwise the mass product of fuel will not remain same. So that is why nowadays this common rail system is obsolete, it is not used. But then again we have seen that in a individual pump and injector system we can supply the fuel depending upon the requirement of the load by controlling the that movement of the cylinder, that is true. But on the other hand, we are also inviting another problem of having that delivery pipe, there is a pressure surge. When needle suddenly stop because of low pressure, then a surge will transmit from that needle side to the pump side, or injector side to the pump side. Since delivery valve is closed, then again that surge will come back from the delivery valve into the needle, and as a result of which there will be a small amount of lift of the needle, and through which fuel will be injected into the cylinder, and that is known as after injection. So it creates problem. Not only after injection is only this is only the problem for the system, but also it delays the injection, total injections it delays. So now to remove that start of injection it delays. So what is done, that if we remove the delivery pipe, rather if we place the pump on the top of the injector, and that is known as unit injector. So today we will discuss about unit injector, which is also unit injector. So this is also a kind of solid injection system, where the problem associated with the delivery pipe that is there in case of a individual pump and injection system will be eliminated, will be replaced, and the pumps will be pump side will be placed on the top of the injector side, so that the we can supply liquid fuel without having after injection or the delays of the injection. But we will see now that now the schematic is that suppose we have so this is unit injector, no discharge tube, and then nozzle valve unit. On this we will have then on the top of that we will have one pump unit. So this is pump unit, this nozzle unit, and this is engine cylinder. So this is engine cylinder. Now here no discharge tube, no discharge tube, hence that problem can be eliminated. So this is nozzle unit, this is pump unit, pump and of course control unit, pump unit, pump plus control unit. So this is pump plus control unit, and this is nozzle unit, and then so now as I said that the delivery line delivery tube that connects pump and nozzle carries fuel under high pressure, that connects pump and nozzle carries fuel under high pressure pressure surges, that is what we have seen, pressure surge. I am underlining this pressure surge leading to after injection by lifting a needle by small amount after injection, and as well as delays the start of injection, delays the start of injection. So, that is what we have seen from last from the discussion what we had in the last class, that delivery tube connects the pump and nozzle which carries fuel under high pressure. So, because of sudden stop of the needle and the delivery valve, there will be a pressure surge which will leads to an undesirable phenomenon of after injection, and not only that, it also delays the start of injection. So, now what is done? So, this is the problem associated with the so this is the problem. So, this is the problem of individual pump and injection system. Now, to eliminate the tubing, so to eliminate this problem, delivery tube of individual pump and injection system can be combined with the nozzle, and located in the and which can be which is placed at the top of the nozzle or on the head of located in the nozzle positions. So, to eliminate this problem, delivery tube of the individual pump and injection system can be combined with the nozzle and which is placed at the top of the engine. So, this is the remedy to what of the problem of the individual pump and injection system. So, if we do like this, that means if I now write from here that by doing this, hydraulic problem associated with the delivery lines are eliminated. So, by doing this, hydraulic problem associated with the delivery line problems associated with delivery lines are eliminated, but a new problem of driving the widely separated pump is substituted. Driving a widely substituted widely separated pump, is substituted. That means maybe we are eliminating the problem, the hydraulic problems, that is of that movement of pressure surge from needle to delivery line, again delivery valve to the needle, and because of what we will have a uplift of the nozzle by small amount, and from there we will have a small amount of fuel that we introduce into the cylinder, that is known as after injection. So, we can eliminate that problem if we place the entire unit on the head of the engine, but since the operation of pump is not so easy, so we are introducing another problem, that is a driving a widely separated pump is again substituted into the system. So, this is totally is known as unit injector, as a total unit is placed in a on the head of the engine, and maybe we can remove the problems, hydraulic problem, but we are also again inviting another problem of having operation of the pump. Fine. So, with this I stop my discussion about the CI engine injection system. Now, I will take up an example numerical problem to solve the problem. So, now we will solve one problem of CI engine injection system. So, I am writing a single cylinder, 4-stroke CI engine running at 650 rpm, uses 2.2 kg of fuel per hour, uses 2.2 kg of fuel per hour. The density of the fuel is 875 kg per meter cube. The injection period is 28 degree of the crank travel. The injection period is 28 degree of the crank travel. If the average injection pressure is P1, if the average injection pressure P1 is equal to 14.7 MPa, calculate and the change charge pressure during injection and charge pressure during injection that is inside cylinder pressure, P2 is equal to 3.14 MPa, calculate the diameter of the fuel orifice, where discharge coefficient of fuel orifice is CDF. Discharge coefficient of the CDF is equal to 0.88, it is given. So, we have to solve this problem. So, it is given, if we try to solve the problem, so it is given that injection period, if I write the injection period, which is injection period is 28 degree, injection period is 28 degree. So, this is BDC location and this is TDC location, and this is the injection period theta, that equal to 28 degree. So, injection period theta equal to 28 degree given. So, what I can write? We can write the time of injection if you can recall that we have calculated, that is theta n divided by, if I try to recall that last class we have derived that 360 degree is equal to 360 degree is per revolution we have 360 degree, that is 1 by 650 minute, that is 1 by n 650 minute. So 28 degree revolution will be equal to 28 into 60 divided by 650 into 360 second. So that is equal to t is equal to 28 into 60 divided by 650 into 360. So that is second. 60 n by, if I try to recall that t is equal to, we have derived in the last class in the context of discussion of common rail system, t is equal to, we have discussed theta n divided by 360 in, into theta into 60 theta divide 60 into theta divided by 360 into n, or theta by 6 n, that is what we have discussed. So now I can write this is as good as theta by 6 n. So it will come around 0.0072 second. So this is the total time of injection we have calculated, because it is given that the injection period is 28 degree of the crank travel. Fine. Now I go to the next slide and I try to recall that if we try to recall, so this is nozzle orifice, maybe this is the nozzle orifice. So this is the nozzle orifice diameter, right. So here velocity is C2 and maybe here pressure is 2, here pressure is 1. So P1 and P2 is given. So from there we can calculate C2 is equal to twice of P2 minus P1 divided by rho f root. So that is without considering frictional losses we can calculate velocity. Therefore mass flow rate of fuel, this is velocity of the fuel. Velocity of fuel using Bernoulli equation. So mass flow rate of fuel will be equal to, because this equation does not take care of the, take the effect of frictional losses into account. So this is CDF into rho f into AF into C2. So now, so this is the mass flow rate during, so this is the mass flow rate during the zone of 28 degree, right. So the total amount of fuel injected during 80 degree is equal to, so the total amount of fuel injected during 28 degree will be equal to m dot f into injection time. So now kg it is given, that is kg of fuel per cycle, that is the total amount of fuel injected per cycle, equal to 0.0072 injection time into mass flow rate 0.88 into 875 into pi by 4 df square. See, this df is the, that is, this is the nozzle orifice diameter. This is called orifice diameter, diameter of the fuel orifice. So this is fuel orifice diameter into 2 into 14.7 minus 3.14 divided by 865 into 10 power minus 6 root of. So that kg of fuel per second, total consumption of the engine, the 2.8 kg of fuel per hour, right. So kg of fuel, now this kg of fuel per cycle I can decompose it into kg of fuel per second. I can write this is kg of fuel per cycle into cycle per second. So I can write anyway. So the total consumption of the engine, this is kg of fuel. So this total consumption of fuel 2.2 kg per hour, it is given. So, kg of fuel per second 2.2 by 3600. So, this quantity is 2.2 divided by 3600 kg of fuel per cycle, that is very important, kg of fuel per cycle that we like to calculate. So, kg of fuel per cycle we will calculate into cycle per second, that is 650 divided by 2 divided by 60. So, now it is 4 stroke engine it is given running at 650 rpm. So, there is 2 revolution per in a cycle. So, 4 stroke engine there will be 2 revolution in a cycle. To complete the cycle there are 2 revolution, and that is why you have divided by 2, 650 by 2 into 60, and from there we can calculate kg of fuel divided by per cycle will be equal to 0.00013. Now, if we know this kg of fuel per cycle, that is very important, that is the total amount of fuel injected during the 28 degree, and that the right hand side of the expression is known. So, now I can write that this 0.00013. So, this is the kg of fuel per cycle, that is equal to, that is what the expression you have written, 0.0072 into 875 into 0.88 into pi by 4 df square into root of twice into 14.7 minus 3.14 divided by 875 into 10 power minus 6. So, because that was given in MPa, pressure was given in MPa. From there we can calculate, that is why we have divided by 10 power minus 6. If we calculate, so df will come, it is coming around 0.399 millimeter, that is equal to 0.4 millimeter. So, this is the answer of the problem. So, the fuel diameter of the fuel orifice is 0.4 millimeter. So, if 4 cylinder engine, so if it is given single cylinder engine, now if it is a multi cylinder engine, then 2.2, that is given 2.2 kg per hour, that will be divided by number of cylinder present. So, now I am telling in the context of this solution, in the context of the solution of this problem, that if we have it is given single cylinder engine, but if it is a multi cylinder engine, then if the number of cylinder is n, then 2.2 kg per hour, that is the fuel consumption, total consumption rate, that will be divided by the number of cylinder. That's all. So, with this I stop my discussion about the CI engine fuel injection system. Now, I will briefly discuss about the air cooled and water cooled engine. I have discussed, so far I can recall that I have discussed this issue a long back while I was discussing about the about the engine, SI engine and CI engine details. So, we know that there might be 2 different cooling system, as we have seen that cooling is an important very important part of the internal combustion operation of the internal combustion engine, because we need to take away certain amount of heat from the engine cylinder to save the engine out of the cylinder out of excessive heating, or at the same time we have to remember that we cannot take huge amount of heat, otherwise the volumetric efficiency, rather the thermal efficiency of the engine will drop. Now, there might be 2 different of cooling system, that is what I have discussed, that is air cooled and or water cooled. Air cooled engine, that means engine outside the engine structure which may have some extended surface, so that the whenever engine is running, right. So, it is very important that air cooled engine, that is very important that when engine is running, then the forward movement of the engine itself, allow certain amount of air to be introduced into the cylinder, into the engine. So, the forward movement of the engine or the movement of the engine will allow the air to be introduced inside the engine cylinder, so that if we have engine with extended surface along the outer periphery of the cylinder, then we can reduce the temperature of the engine cylinder because of the convection which is having because of the convection due to the flow of air. So, this is air cooled engine. Question is, see, to have a better heat transfer rate, we have to increase surface. That is what the word I have used, that is extended surface, that is finned surface will be there. And sometimes maybe the movement or the speed of the engine is not good enough to suck certain required amount of air. That is why we need to have blower to increase the rate of air which is being introduced in the cylinder. This is all about the air cooled engine. And on the other hand, we have another engine, water cooled engine. Water cooled engine, you know that we can reuse water because we will have a radiator. So engine cylinder through along the periphery of the engine cylinder we have a cooling water jacket, that is what we have seen, and we also have seen the sensing the temperature of the cooling water jacket, the amount of fuel or amount of fuel to be supplied into the engine, that is electronically controlled unit, that is what we have discussed, will change. Now water from cooling water jacket is taken into the radiator. So water from the cooling water jacket is taken to the radiator through a centrifugal pump which is driven by a V-weld pulley on the engine crank. So we have discussed now that this is the parasite load of the engine. We have discussed again when we discussed about the load engine. So parasite load is to run the AC and also this pump. So water from the engine jacket is taken to the radiator through a centrifugal pump, and that pump is run by a V-weld pulley which is connected to the engine's engine crank shaft. Then water which passes through the radiator, where water is cooled by air drawn. So we have to cool the water, because whenever we are taking water from the radiator, that water is having high temperature. So when the water is taken into the radiator, of course through a pump, and then we need to bring down the temperature of the water within the radiator, and that is done using another heat exchange process. So we need to pass air over the radiator, so that whenever air is passing through the radiator, because of the convection cooling, it will reduce the temperature of the water, and then again that cold water, relatively cold water is taken from radiator into the cylinder through again a pump. So that cool water is again taken from radiator into the engine cylinder through again a pump, and which is connected through the V-weld pulley. Now question is, when water is coming to the radiator, we need to have a sufficient amount of airflow to reduce the temperature of the hot water, and what for that we may have we can draw water using a fan, or the forward or inflow developed by the forward motion of the car may be used to reduce the temperature of the water. So the inflow of air because of the forward movement of the car can be used to bring down the temperature of the water, but if that amount of air is not good enough to reduce the temperature, we need to have one fan which will be used to supply air into the radiator, so that the water temperature can be reduced to an extent which is good enough to reduce the temperature of the engine cylinder in the next cycle. So these two types are commonly used as a cooling medium or as a coolant in an internal combustion engine. We need to mind it that sometimes we can use water because maybe we can get higher efficiency, but water, if we use as a coolant, we cannot use water all times, because there might be a situation when engine is approaching a temperature which is even close to 0 degree Celsius or something, then the water in the radiator will start freezing, and it will rupture the radiator, also the cooling water jacket. So sometimes what is done, we need to mix certain amount of reagent like ethylene glycol, which will increase the which will reduce the freezing temperature of the water, so that even we can use that water as a coolant in the places where temperature is even below 0 degree Celsius. So these are the basic which is used to reduce the temperature of the water, temperature of the engine cylinder, of course to run engine cylinder smoothly, and also to ensure the efficiency, maximum efficiency, because these two things are simultaneously we need to ensure that we will reduce the temperature to save the engine cylinder because of thermal cracking. On the other hand, we should not reduce the temperature drastically so that the thermal efficiency will drop down. So these two are the aspects we have discussed, and we have discussed about the CI engine injection system in details, and we have discussed that solid injection system, and that Dr. Rudolf Diesel who introduced this air injection system, that is not nowadays used because of the cost associated with the big size compressor, and also the running cost. So this solid injection system is used. Common rail, that means we have a single pump, that high pressure pump used to supply fuel in a common reservoir. Their pressure is maintained constant, and from there we supply fuel into the multiple cylinder. But this is not a very good solution in hand, because if the load changes, then of course speed will change, and for that we need to ensure that we need engine will supply variable or varying rate of fuel depending upon the load and speed. So, in that, to remove that problem, we had individual pump and injection system, where we have one individual pump to supplying to individual injector, but again we have seen one hydraulic problem associated with the pressure surge that leads to an unnatural phenomenon of afterward after injection. Not only that, it also delays the start of injection. So, ultimately, to remove that problem, we have a unit injector, but if we have unit injector, maybe it is good because you can remove hydraulic problem, but at the same time to run the pump, separated, widely separated pump, that creates another problem. So, these three are the major injection system used in a CI engine, and then we have discussed little bit about the coolant, because I have discussed these issues again. I mean, I repeat that I long back, while at the beginning of this course I have discussed about this cooling system. So, today I have again discussed about the air cooling and water cooling, and what are the problems associated with these two types of cooling. And of course, I discussed that water, if we use as a coolant in for internal combustion engine, we need to mix ethylene glycols to reduce the freezing temperature of the water, so that I can use water in the places where temperature is even below 0 degree Celsius. So, with this I stop here today, and I will continue one lecture to solve a few problems associated with the Otto cycle, diesel cycle, and because engine power and efficiencies, and I will discuss that aspect in the next class. Thank you very much.